The Board of Electrologists and Body Art Practitioners meeting is convening at 9:03 a.m. on February 24th, 2025. This meeting is being held in person and through MS Teams video conference and is being recorded. The recording will be posted to the internet for public viewing. I will now call roll. Paul Thomas.
Present.
Matthew Holmes. Nathan Morelli.
Here.
John Dickerson. Rebecca Flom.
Here.
Brian Gooden.
Present.
Members, when you wish to speak, please state your last name for the record. Board members, you are asked to not use the chat feature during meetings. The Health Licensing Office asks that individuals attending through MS Teams keep their phones muted and cameras off during the entire meeting or until they are given an opportunity to comment during the public and interested parties feedback period, if indicated on the agenda. Public comment is limited to matters listed on the meeting agenda or topics relevant to what this board has statutory authority to regulate. Public members wishing to speak, please sign in on the roster sheet available in the room or email Josh Page at josh.page@oha.oregon.gov and provide your first and last name. Everyone is asked to use appropriate language, manners, and protocols when conducting board business.
Chair, this is Bob. I see Heather Fogelsong's hand up. Morning, Heather.
Good morning. And Audrey, I apologize for interrupting. I know that Matthew, I can see him on the call, but I did not hear him. I think he was muted when you were doing roll call. So I just want to make sure that it's identified that he is here, and maybe he could check his whether we can hear him and he can represent that he is here.
This is Matthew Holmes. Sorry, I was waiting for a pause in the opening. I couldn't figure out where my microphone was muted, and I'm pretty sure I've got it sorted now.
Excellent.
So the only one we have access to John Dickerson.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Heather. Good morning, everybody. This is Bob Bothwell, the Director of the Health Licensing Office. Thank you for being with us this morning. First item on the agenda, Chair, whenever you're ready, is approval of the agenda.
Okay, I'm looking in my script that I just got the memo template and I'm not seeing that script, so I might have to go back and try and find that one as well.
I'm sorry, Chair. I led that off wrong. We just need approval of the agenda, so if I can get one person.
This is Matthew Holmes. I moved to approve the agenda.
Second.
And, okay.
Nathan Morelli, I second.
And then just off the top of my head, I believe we have a move to approve the agenda. I'll go ahead and call roll. Oh, gosh. Find my list again. There it is. Paul Thomas.
Approve.
Matthew Holmes.
Aye.
Nathan Morelli.
Aye.
And I believe John Dickerson wasn't here, right?
Correct.
And then Rebecca Flom.
Approve.
Brian Gooden.
Approve.
And I believe we have an approval.
Andre, Chair, you have to count yourself in these.
Oh, yes, I also approve.
All right. Next item on the agenda is the director's report. And this is Bob Bothwell for the record, and I am the director. First item in my report is the board membership training and resources. So currently the board membership stands with Audrey Jones, electrologist, is in a first term. It expires March 14, 2025, and so we can reappoint. Paul is also in a first term, which expires June 29, 2027, and can reappoint. Matthew Holmes is in a second term. It expired 2/21 of 25 and cannot reappoint. Nathan Morelli is in a first term. It expires 3/28 to 27, Nathan can reappoint. John Dickerson is in a first term. It expires April 30, 2027, and can reappoint. Rebecca Flom, first term, and it expires June 30, 2025, can reappoint. And Brian Gooden, his first term, it expires June 30th, 2028, and can reappoint. Any questions on the board membership standing?
I have a question, Rebecca Flaum here. I think my expiration date is wrong. I actually just emailed about it.
Okay.
I've only been on the board for less than a year, and I thought it was a 4-year term.
Okay, you're right, and we'll look into that.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Also within the board membership, there's some required trainings that are due. Once per year, an overview of the board and commissions that is required training once per term. There's information and security training foundations, which is required annually. There's preventing discrimination and harassment. That training is required annually. And then there is the overview of organ ethics law, and that on our list is optional. But I don't know if the chair or if anybody else caught on, there's a slight change in the in her scripts with regards. Who does? Audrey. Audrey. You have your hand up?
Yeah, I was just going to ask about these trainings. I've had a very difficult time getting logged on to Workday with like the extra security protocols. I actually just recently emailed, I can't remember who I emailed. I think her name was Chrissy, asking like, is there a way I can just come down to Salem and just do my trainings down there? Because it seems like each year we do these one time a year trainings, and then the next year something changes, or like I upgraded my phone and now I can't do the 2-step verification that's required to log on to Workday since I don't have a state issued device.
Okay, so we'll have you go to Workday Help for the authenticator stuff. So I'll work with you over email on that one.
Chrissy will work with you, she said. I don't know if you could hear her or not.
Yeah, I'll continue the conversation with her then. Thank you.
Yeah. Was there another hand up?
Nathan did, but he put it down.
Nathan, did you have a question?
Nathan Goldberg, Army.
Oh,
No, I was just gonna also say if she needs help with Workday, I can try and assist as well.
okay. That was Nathan Goldberg from HLO. Chrissy's gonna handle it, but if he needs additional assistance, we'll reach out to you. Appreciate it. Okay, where was I at?
You were, the governor
Oh.
ethics changes.
The ethics changes, yes. So the Ethics Commission did put out some new rules. And just a 1,000-foot level overview of that is HLO is required to put on their website a complaint form for the public to go to if there was a public complaint against a board member or a public meetings law violation. And within that, there's some restrictions, not restrictions, there are some qualifiers that the with the time frame when this complaint has to happen. So I think it's 21 days. I might be wrong on that, but so there's a time frame from the time of the alleged violation to the time that this complaint can be filed. And then that gets moved to the Ethics Commission. And if there's a violation, then the Ethics Commission will do an investigation, and it may be a board member, it could be all board members. And then at the end of that, the Ethics Commission has the authority to issue a civil penalty. To date, we're not aware of any civil penalties being assessed. They just handled it with training. And so we just wanted to make the board aware of this change. And I think the chair may have received a detailed explanation. And after the meeting, the board members, we will email that detailed explanation out to the board members as well. But that is on our website and it is active. And today, I don't think we've had any complaints on this board, but if there is, then I'm sure the appropriate authority and the members involved will be notified. Any questions that I could try to answer on that? Very good. Thank you. All right. And I am going down my slides here. So if anybody's following along online, I am going to be on slide 11 and talking real briefly about the licenses. And so far we're in Q4 of 2020 fiscal year 2025, and tattoo artists, we haven't had any issues in 2024, excuse me, in Q4. And in Q3, there were 32 licenses issued. For standard body piercing and specialty level piercings, also in Q4 fiscal year 2025, there haven't been any issued, but in Q3, there were 3 licenses issued. Earlobe piercing technicians, in Q4, there haven't been any issued. And we are in Q3, there were 4. Metrologists, again, there was in Q4, none issued yet, and Q3, there was 1 issued. Those are new licenses. And I'm probably ahead of the game here because we're probably not in Q4 yet. I'm trying to do the math in my head while I talk. I don't think we're in Q4 yet. That's why we're seeing 0. So sorry about that. So tattoo artist licenses renewed. In Q3, fiscal year 2025, there were 99 online. Thank you very much. That is a big help to HLO, and 44 done by paper. Standard body piercing, especially level piercing. In Q3, there have been 5, 3 by paper, 2 online, but the vast majority through the fiscal year 2025 have been online. Earlobe piercing technicians, Q3, there's been a total of 4, 2 on paper, 2 online. And again, throughout the fiscal year, there have been more online renewals than paper. Electrologists, in Q3, there were 6 renewals and 3 by paper, 3 online. And again, online appears to be the preferable way to go. And on slide 19, I'll talk real quickly about licensing trends, and the numbers, if you're following along, you'll see like in this slide on slide 19, there's 1,014.0. This is an average. So 100,014 on average as of Q3 2025, fiscal year 2025. Earlobe piercing technicians, average of 123 as of Q3. Especially body piercing 1 and 2. It is an average of 18.5, but you see it might be potentially licenses haven't been renewed yet because we've gone from 20.2 to 18. So I expect that to turn around. Electrologists on average 113, slowly increasing. Tattoo artists currently an average of 2,458. Standard body piercing on average 91.8, and that was as of Q2. Licensed by age and gender, it's a mix. And the next slide on 26 is the electrologist body art practitioners testing results. As of fiscal year 2025, we've had 9 pass the body piercing, 1 fail. And then there was the supervisors, 3 pass. Practical trainee supervisors, we've had 1 and 1 pass. Support. Do we have a question? No. Okay. So safety and infection control, we've had 19 pass, no fail. Ear piercing written exams, 4 pass, no fail. Electrologist, practical exam, 1, 12 pass, 1 fail. Written exam, 1. We've had 12 pass, 1 fail. Standard body piercing, written exams, 11 pass, 4 fail, and tattoo written, 238 pass, 126 fail. So pretty good stats. Any questions on the exams? All right. And then board's financials, beginning cash balance, fiscal year 2025, 1.124 million. Revenues, 227,527. Expenditures of 262,795. Net operations, 14,733. With an ending cash balance of $1.139 million. Any questions? Okay. On slide 29 is the regulatory report. Krampus, are you out there?
I am out here.
Good morning.
Good morning. So good morning, everybody. I'm Trampashuk. I'm the regulatory manager. I'm here to talk about the regulatory report. So as you can see on this report, we have 3 bienniums showing up. The 2021 biennium, the 2023 biennium, and the 2025 biennium. The 2021 biennium, we had 109 cases come in during that time frame, all of which are closed. So you can see that that with that line. And then the 2023 biennium, which is the one that we finished about a year and a half ago, we had 55 cases come in, complaints, and 7 are still kind of hanging on out there. And then we have the one that we're currently in, the 2025 biennium, which isn't quite over yet. I think we got about 5 months left on it, 4.5, 5 months left on it. And in that time frame, we got 69 complaints come in, and 48 of those complaints are still open, 21 are closed. So you would expect those numbers to kind of flop as you see them going. The newer cases are going to be more percentage of those open. So you can see who those complaints are against: body art facilities, electrologists, standard body piercings, tattoo artists, temporary tattoo artists, and then unlicensed body art. Those are the major categories. You see one that says unassigned. That must be an error that something just didn't get assigned in the system. Or maybe it's a brand new complaint that was like in the process of getting opened or something. So I'll just check and make sure that that's not some kind of a strange number. So as you can see in the complaints by type, in the middle box, where those complaints came from, or at least what kind of complaints they were. You can see that 2021 biennium, that kind of is going to explain that bump that we had for a couple of years during the COVID years. Some of those were COVID complaints. But I mean, it doesn't explain the whole of the bump. But we had a lot of licensing concerns that year, people working unlicensed, people working in unlicensed facilities or whatnot, could have been any of those things. So you can see actually licensing concerns, licensing issues make up the bulk of our complaints in body art, which is probably a good thing. Out of the 233, only 19 were safety and sanitation issues or services. So, and then 37. So, only a small portion were actually that. And then you can see complaints by type. We got anonymous, which make up a group of about 43 of all the complaints that came in. Only 26 were clients, and then 154 were other. So there's a big category. It could be all kinds of, it could just be somebody else, like, oh, hey, I heard about this place, or there's somebody working over here, or that kind of thing. So you actually get a lot of others in this group. So so that's the regulatory report. Is there any questions about the regulatory report, or about investigations or inspections or anything like that that I could talk about, or people have questions about? All right. If there's no questions, I'll get off and let you get back to the regular flow of the meeting.
Thanks, Travis.
Mm-hmm.
So, good morning, everyone. For the record, my name is Ann Thompson. I'm the policy analyst for this board. Several things we're going to talk about today. The first thing is a temporary rule that I filed around Christmas time. It was brought to my attention that in the pathway for electrology, that there was an issue with the way that the rule was written and how it was meant to be. And the way it was written, pathway 4, which was, it says equivalent education, training, and experience. Tina Russell, licensing manager Tina Russell, brought to my attention that this, instead of and experience, all three things, that folks coming in from this pathway needed to have education and training or experience. And that's a pretty critical conjunction. All three versus one or the other. So I was told to file a temporary rule, and that's included in your packet. Right, I don't know what slide we're on.
Oh, it's right there at the top.
Okay, we are on slide 31 of 43. And essentially the temporary rule was rewritten to capture the intent, which was you have to have either a documentation demonstrating experience or education and training. So you can have experience, you're out there working, maybe a state that doesn't have licensure, or education and training, which is you're coming straight out of a school or out of a training program or something like that. You have education and training, but you don't have a lot of time practicing. So that temporary rule went into effect immediately. However, temporary rules have timers on them. And that timer is clicking away, and you only have 6 months on it maximum. Before that pathway expires, before that temporary rule expires, we need to put something in place that's permanent. That requires rulemaking. So we've been having some conversations in the office about maybe some issues, because this electrology was kind of redone a couple of years ago to reflect the new mandate for gender affirming care. And we've been discussing in the office about these different licensure pathways, and are they doing what they're supposed to do, so that when we go to replace this template with something permanent, we can make any other necessary adjustments to electrology licensure pathways and capture today's world and fix any little thing that maybe isn't working the way it should work. So that brings me to the licensure pathway rule discussion. Okay, so everything, all the current pathways are in your packet, starting on page 31. And so members of the board, I would like to also mention that when we go in and we start working these pathways to see if there's any changes that need to take place, I'm going to do my best to expand the bucket of cleaning fluid to everything in the electrology area. Are there any rules that maybe could be clarified, grammatical issues, things that aren't as clear as they could be? I'm hoping to have the time to do that, because real rulemaking, when you get into rules advisory committees and proposed rules and public comment, it seems like it takes a very, very long time, and it should, because you want maximum input, you want maximum feedback from folks. And so we're kind of getting this started now, because 6 months will disappear in a heartbeat. And we want to have something ready to go. So what I was going to do is ask the board for, what we're doing in-house, and I'm kind of backing up a little bit, in-house, we're discussing any phone calls that we get, any problems that we have with licensure pathway, where are people getting stuck? Are we capturing all the ways in we want to for people who are practitioners with no disciplinary action from another state? You know, are we getting everybody that we want to get? And we're asking the right questions. So when I'm done with that, I wanted to convene a rules advisory committee to kind of look at what we've come up with before we bring it to the board for proposed rules. So I was wondering if anybody on the board could give me some feedback on like stakeholder groups that you think, not individual people, but stakeholder groups that you think should be represented in an electrology rules advisory committee to go over the licensure pathways and any other rules that I think could use, as I say, you know, the bucket of cleaning fluid, something that could be rewritten in a clearer way, a process that could be refined. So I'm opening it up to the board. Who do you think should be, what groups, associations, fields practice that Audrey's got her hand up that should be included in a rules advisory committee for electrology? Audrey?
Thank you. This is Audrey Jones. And yeah, I think the Oregon Association of Licensed Electrologists would probably have a great ability to put some people forward that have good opinions and good knowledge in this matter.
Fantastic. So the Oregon Association of Licensed Electrologists, that's correct?
Yes.
Anybody else? Audrey, you still have your hand up if you've got more things, or can you not find how to put your hand down?
No, I don't. Let me figure out how to put my hand down. This is like
That's okay. I know it's really hard to find.
I am the least adept at this technology, I will tell you.
No, it's a race to the bottom, trust me. So well, if you're laughing, I'm happy. So is there anybody else like any other medical groups or any other practitioners, clients, or is pretty much the Association of Licensed Electrologists, is that going to be the gold mine? Yeah, is there going to be like communities of impacted individuals, like customer, or would they be able to put us into contact with customers? Can you think of any groups that maybe could connect us with folks that are getting gender affirming care, or anyone who would be a client? Yeah. Okay, so I see somebody has their hand up. If you're not a member of the board, if you could offer your feedback during the public comment period, that would be appreciated. Or you could also email Josh Page and get that information to him, and he will get it to me. So if we don't have anything else, so right now I have the Association of Licensed Electrologists, and I will start from there. And if you think of anybody, email me, ann.p as in paul.thompson@oha.oregon.gov. This, I don't go fast with rules because we want to be thorough. So, you know, this is going to be going on for a few weeks now. So if you think of anything, let me know. Obviously, you will get the notice when we put out an invitation for a rules advisory committee. And if you think of something then, please float it up to me. So I think somebody has their mic open. Thank you so much. The feedback is just incredible sometimes. Okay. So I appreciate your assistance with that one. The work on the electrology rules will be ongoing. Like I said, some things won't change substantially, but might be edited to make the rules more easily understood or align better, or just remove, you know, extra words, which bug me. So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about today, we are in legislative session, and there are several bills that affect HLO specifically. One is a new program they're proposing for us where we would be licensing dental laboratories, the places that build crowns and appliances that go in your mouth. This would be the third time we've seen that bill. We have a couple of other bills that make changes to sign language interpreters and some other things that would affect HLO. But the bill that I included in your packet, which if I scroll down, it's Senate Bill 800. And the reason I very specifically wanted this to be brought forth is this is a bill that was introduced by Governor Kotek, and it's being put forth by the Department of Revenue. Money affects all of us. And this particular bill requires anyone who gets a license or a renewal to practice a profession to be in tax compliance. What does that mean? That means any licensee who wants a renewal or somebody who wants a new license has to go to the Department of Revenue. They say they're going to build something so it will be online and easy. I don't know how believable that is. Where you would get a certificate, type in your name and social security number, I suppose. And if you're in tax compliance, you would get a compliance certificate. And you would supply that to us. Yes, Bob?
Just wanted to add a little bit to that, if I may.
Yes, please.
So HLO and one of the other programs was in a meeting with Department of Revenue, and we thought that it was an individual that had to get an individual does have to get it, but this compliance piece is for a licensed profession group. So what that means, as it was explained to us, is if the Department of Revenue feels, or however they come up with the percentage of who is not, what group is not in compliance, then the entire group of professionals. So if it's tattoo artists, it's not a singular tattoo artist, it's the entire group would have to provide a certificate of compliance individually to HLO upon renewal or
Initial licensure.
Initial licensure.
And I mean, I'm mentioning this in a very broad way because those particular groups, as Bob mentioned, are not called out. They're saying that the Department of Revenue would determine what group is not hitting like 95% compliance, I think they said. And that could be anyone who falls behind or, I don't know, works for cash or whatever they say. They have to determine who the groups are. But if you're identified as a profession, within 90 days of renewing or getting a license, you would have to go to the Department of Revenue and get a certificate of compliance. And this is something where we were looking at it and thinking, would this make online renewals difficult? If we've got to be examining certificates of compliance, or if you think you're in compliance and the Department of Revenue disagrees, is your license on hold while you work that out with them? What is that going to look like? And again, when you read it, you think, oh, that's simple. But then when you start getting into what does that mean for HLO and how we conduct business, we love online renewals because you can just keep going. You know, we don't have to stop and look at a piece of paperwork and say, is this you? You know, it just adds an extra layer of paperwork to a process. And we have tens and tens of thousands of licensees. And if they decide that a particular group has to be looked at, HLO essentially has to work with the Department of Revenue and licensees to make sure that this is being run the way they want it to. So this bill is something that we are calling attention to because of the implications for everybody, us included. If you want to testify on, well, they've already had a hearing, so you can't testify, but if you want to offer feedback on this, you can go to the legislative website, and I believe Senator Meeks is in charge of this particular committee. But you can't do it as a board member. You can't say, well, the board is upset about this. You have to do it as a practitioner or an individual and just read this and think about what this would affect, how this would affect you. And it was big enough and it affected potentially enough people that we thought we'd call special attention to it. So does anybody have any questions? Again, the legislative session is a long one. Yep. And this will be grinding forward probably till June. Matthew, you have a question?
Yeah, this is Matthew Holmes. I've been power reading through this, and to touch on something that you had mentioned, it does specifically say that if you're not found in compliance, your license is suspended immediately until it is resolved.
Correct.
That's intense.
Well, we don't like to use words like that. We like to be neutral because as a
Sure,
member
sure.
of the
Okay, I understand.
executive, we are Switzerland.
Yeah. Sure, sure.
And through this, again, we felt the potential was there to be impactful. If they decide that a particular group is out of compliance, their testimony, the Department of Revenue testimony, was that people want to be in compliance. And this would, having their livelihood in their hand, would bring people to the table and work out a payment program and this kind of thing. And that's fine. That was their testimony, but we wanted our licensees to be fully informed because we know you guys are really busy and we don't want to bother you unless it's something that could be, as Matthew said, intense. So bringing that to your attention. Any other questions on it? Again, if you wish to offer feedback, you can go to the Oregon Legislative website and they tell you how to do it. And you can't speak on behalf of the board, you can't speak on behalf of HLO, but as an individual practitioner, if you think that this could really have an impact on your business, how you do things, you're more than welcome as a citizen to offer your testimony to the legislature. This bill, we're coming up on our first sort of fall away. I mean, we have thousands, literally thousands of bills that were introduced this session. We're trying to keep up with them. Some will pass these sort of Panama Canal time markers. They'll be scheduled in time and they'll make it. They'll move to the next step. The rest of them that aren't scheduled or miss that first hurdle will fall away. But we continue to watch because they have these things called Christmas tree bills where they can Lazarus something up that you thought was gone. It can show up again in another form, you know, so we're continuing to monitor this, but again, heavy enough to bring to your attention. Any other questions? Okay, well, I will slide out of the way and give this back to Director Bothwell.
Thanks, Ann. Okay, this is Bob Bothwell again. We are going to move into executive session here at this time, so give us a moment to get some things switched around, and we do have some public that were kind enough to join us this morning. We're going to have them go out in the lobby and wait.
One, I'll have you read the script. I can put us in the executive section first.
Yes, so Audrey, if you could read the script, taking us into.
Before you do that, Bob, excuse me, ladies, would you like to stay in the lobby throughout the executive session? I can come and get you when we're done. Is that okay? Wonderful, thank you so much. Thank you.
Audrey,
Yes.
if you'd like to read your script, please.
Will do. The Board of Electrologists and Body Art Practitioners will now meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192.660, parentheses 2, parentheses F, and ORS 676.590 for the purpose of considering information exempt from public disclosure at 9:42 a.m. on February 24th, 2025. Representatives of the news media shall be allowed to attend the executive session. Audience members attending through MS Teams will now be moved into a separate breakout room, and audience members attending in person are asked to leave the room both for the duration of executive session. Those authorized to attend the executive session, please continue to keep your phone muted and camera off. Are there any representatives of the news media on MS Teams? Recognizing there is no news media in attendance, the public will be moved into a separate breakout room for the duration of the executive session. We will return to open session before taking any final action or making any final decisions. It's estimated that the board will return to public session, I'm going to say at 10 a.m. Please be aware that it's possible that the board's executive session may last longer then 10 a.m. If the public has any questions about whether the board is still in executive session, then the public can contact Josh Page at josh.page@oha.oregon.gov. We are now in executive session. The Board of Electrologists and Body Art Practitioners will now exit executive session and reconvening open session at 10:33 a.m. No final decisions were made and no votes were taken in executive session. The public will be moved from the breakout room back into the meeting, and representatives of the media may once again report all board discussions and actions.
All right. So in case 23-10648, it is proposed that the board issue a $1,000 civil penalty, suspend the license, assess $5,000 of any disciplinary proceedings, and also give the office the authority to engage in informal resolution.
This is Matthew Holmes, so moved.
One at a time.
Sorry. This is Matthew Holmes, so moved.
Paul, is that a second?
Morelli, I second the
Oh, yeah,
motion.
Paul Thomas, second.
All right, let me get my script. Okay, a motion has been made. I'll call the roll. Paul Thomas,
Aye.
Matthew Holmes,
Aye.
Nathan Morelli,
Aye.
Rebecca Flom,
Aye.
Brian Gooden,
Aye.
and myself, Audrey Jones, aye.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. Okay. And next item on the agenda, Chair, this is Bob, is public interest party feedback. You have a script?
At this time, the Board of Electrologists and Body Art Practitioners will hear public and interested parties' feedback. Public comment is limited to matters listed in the meeting agenda or topics relevant to what the board has statutory authority to regulate. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes and will not be allowed if they are disruptive to the board's conduct of its business. If you are called on to comment, HLO staff will request a public member to unmute themselves. The chairperson and HLO reserve the right to end a person's comment early and have HLO staff mute the public member if the comment does not pertain to the matters listed on the meeting agenda or topics relevant to what this board has statutory authority to regulate. Are there any members of the public who wish to comment? If so, please raise your hand or use the MS Teams raised hand feature and wait to be acknowledged.
I can tell them this.
You just had the one that I gave you, Sheila.
Sheila, are you out there?
Yes, I am.
Do you wish to make a comment?
Yeah, a couple of things. I was wondering if you could repeat the this revenue bill. Did you know the bill number?
So Senate Bill 800, Chair, Sheila.
Pardon me?
Senate Bill 800.
800.
Correct.
That's the only number. Okay. Thank you.
It's if you search it, it's Senate Bill 800.
Thank you. Okay. I have a comment about the renewal procedure last year for our licenses. I know you generally say, we're responsible to notice when our licenses are coming due for renewals. And lots of us have two licenses. We have the facility license and then our practice license. So this year, hold on, let's just I gotta let somebody in my door here. Hi, come on in. So I got my facility license, and usually the practice license thing comes exactly the same day, or maybe the day after. Like always the same day. So I didn't get that, and I waited and waited, and then I said, well, I guess it's not coming. So I realized I needed to have the password, so I called in to get the password, which I'd forgotten to leave in a good spot, and then I went ahead with my renewal. But I don't know if I don't think I was the only one. I got to talk to several other people. They also didn't get a renewal on it. It just seems that if you're going to go that direction, you're not going to send a mailed renewal out.
for one thing, you're inconsistent if you sent the renewal for the facility license. So I'd like to have you consider how you're doing that. It might have impacted how many people licensed on time or had to pay late fees, or maybe still haven't realized that their license is, has expired. So that was one of the main things I wanted to talk about. And I don't think it was on the wording that came out in the about the rule revision, the temporary rule. There was a sentence in there that was very alarming to us. It said it was going to affect all of our licenses, and it didn't seem like in the long run it pertained to everybody except for the people that are looking for a pathway to licensure. But I think it read as though it was affecting everybody that was already licensed. So I just wanted to let you know how that affected people reading that announcement that came out. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, we'll look into both the license and the rule. It's just an emergency rule that was out there, and then when we work on the permanent rule, Ann's taking note.
Thank you.
Okay, looked around the room and the folks that are with us didn't have additional comment. Anybody else online have a comment? Okay, on to other board business. Chair, if you're ready. No script. That wasn't my intent. If you're ready to move on to other board business, there's some things that were brought up earlier.
You read my mind. Yes, I think we're ready to move on.
So there's some discussion perhaps around pre-approval process for CEs.
Oh, you want me to bring up the pre-approval? Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, whoever had that wanted to discuss it.
Yeah, whoever was talking about that, if you would like to discuss it, go ahead and discuss now.
Thank you. Sorry, I was having a mute button malfunction. Brian Gooden, board member. Yes, I would like some time to discuss the CE continuing education application process. There is a circular on the website for folks who are looking to provide CEs. So I'd like to discuss that and possibly get clarification for our licensees on how you would apply to be a provider of continuing education.
Okay. This is Bob. Unfortunately, Callie's not here, but our qualifications is Eric. Are you able to, or Tina, I'm sorry. Tina, you have your hand up. Thank you.
Yeah, I can answer that. There's a form, if you're going to be teaching, there is a form that you can fill out and have pre-approval for what you're teaching.
My concern is that very form. If you look at the FAQ for our licensees, the FAQ does direct folks to use that form for pre-approval. When you pull up the form to submit it, it says in highlighted that licensees under EBAP are no longer able to use that form. And so the instructions on the FAQ on our website are circular. So my proposal is that a new FAQ be created or more clear instructions and the removal of that form from our licensees website.
Okay, we will let Callie know.
We've got Ann here.
Hi, Brian. This is Ann. There's two things that are at issue here. One is a licensee wanting to take classes or courses. And then the other would be somebody providing the course, right?
Yes,
So,
my concern is the folks looking to provide a CE course. Currently, it is not clear how you would go about doing that.
okay, I just wanted to make sure I was very, very clear on what your issue was, because I know with licensees, back in the day, they could say, I want to take this course, and we would have a staff member look at it and say, yes, that works, you can take that course. And we're really trying to get away from that because again, we just have hundreds and hundreds of people. And we just don't have the capacity. So we're trying to get more domains, like areas that would be relevant to a licensee's practice to say, as long as the course is in these domains, these big broad categories, you're okay. But what we can do is we can dial down a little bit tighter on somebody wanting to provide the course. But I just wanted to be very clear about what your ask was.
Yeah, you've got it. And I have an email chain between you and Callie regarding this. So if you want to see more details, you can find it in that email chain. But yes, I think the FAQ should not point people to the form if they're going to be continuing education providers, because the form specifically says that it no longer applies to our providers for our licenses.
Got it. Thank you. I'll look into that.
I appreciate it, and I'll yield.
Okay. Any other board business? Board members? This is Bob.
This is Matthew Holmes. I'm good.
Chair, if you're inclined, we can adjourn.
Oh, looks like Nathan Morelli might have their hand up.
Oh, sorry, Nathan, didn't see you.
All good. I had a question. I recently had an inspection, and my inspector has zero language to go on how a statum's used in our studios. And who can I contact to help with language to try and get something written in our rules and regulations? Because she had no idea even how to start an inspection with that equipment on my premises.
You can, so the supervisor is online, that's Trampus, and then Ann is also hearing you and making notes. So you can.
So I could contact Trampus to get it started and help out.
Yeah, and then we can loop Ann in if it's not a training issue or something like that.
Perfect. It's not a training issue. She just said that on her end, she has one line of text in regarding that style of autoclave, but it's kind of becoming the standard for our industry. So we should have something in place going forward.
Okay. We'll work on it from our end, but it still sounds like it's in the regulatory shop.
Perfect. I'll contact them later.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing no hands. Chair, if you're ready to adjourn.
Thanks, Bob. The Board of Electrologists and Body Art Practitioners meeting is adjourned at 10:46 a.m.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. Stay dry.
You too.
Now bring the snow back.